Which is more important, the fishing industry or the environmental aspect? Are the oceans and fish waters of the world being overfished? Or are we humans being so overly protective of the fish that we give them the same rights as people? That's what it seems like in today's society. The debate about overfishing has surrounded a variety of social and ecological factors, including different aspects of what overfishing is and how it can be bad, or in our case of debate, how the fishing industry is a good industrial job to have. In my defense, I'm in favor of overfishing. I feel as if the fishing industry helps make jobs for fishermen who are unemployed. The fishing industry is a good source of income to fishermen, families to make ends meet, as well as a huge impact of creating a food source. Definitions. Fishing. The sport or business of catching fish. Industrial. Diligence and employment or pursuit. Overfishing. To fish to the detriment of a fishing ground or to the depletion of a kind of organism. Jobs for fishermen. There are hundreds of fishing jobs out in the world, but the environment aspect comes into play. So many jobs are struggling to stay alive. From the website Greenpeace, it stated that there has been a loss of 40,000 jobs in the fishing industry. Jobs for fishermen are good to have because it's not just a source of money. It's a sense of well-being. For anyone with a job, they know it's nice to have that little bit of a backbone just in case anything would go wrong. This is what fishermen want, a little bit of backbone, so they know that they will do well off. If you stop the fishing for fishermen, you also take away their jobs. And the source of income to fishermen and their family. Income to fishermen is highly important to them and their families as well. Employment of fishermen and related fishing workers has declined by 6% over the last 2 years, according to Sea the Sea, thus making it hard on income to fishermen family. Fishing is the only source of income, and without it, they struggle to make ends meet for their families, without consumers buying what they catch. With an economy we are facing today, we don't need anyone else getting financially in debt. Food source. Food is a vital source of protein for people. It is man's most important single source of high quality protein, providing 16% of protein consumed by the world's population, according to Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations. Without overfishing, the fishing industry loses money, and the consumers lose protein. Greenpeace reported that 2/3 of people get their protein from fish, that most poor live off of it. Fish is important to have for not just money and jobs, but for food. Without it, we wouldn't get the vitamins and protein we need.
The future of our oceans is at a serious risk. It is past time to get a handle on humanity's effect on the fragile ecosystem we take for granted every day. It is time to renew our respect for the life we take from the sea. Damage to the environment and its inhabitants. Overfishing has been occurring since the 1800s. Even during this time, many species were nearly hunted to extinction. Overfishing is caused by profit-seeking commercial fleets of the fishing industry. As fleets go further down the food chain, a more drastic and deadly effect is taking place on other species. When one species is affected, all species are affected. Depleting species result in malnutrition, issues in migration, breeding patterns, the death of offspring, all in other species. Bluefin tuna, whales, salmon, and seabirds are just a few that suffer from dwindling food supplies as a result of overfishing. There are currently bans in place to stop the fishing of krill. Many desire for this ban to be extended to other prey species. Traps and nets also endanger a variety of other ocean species. Sea turtles, sharks, whales, and dolphins can easily become ensnared in nets. Unable to free themselves, they suffocate and die, steadily adding to the growing list of endangered species. Not only are marine species affected, but the seafloor itself. The types of fishing and netting used damage coral reefs, kelp forest, seagrass beds, estuaries, and other habitats on the ocean floor that provide homes for thousands of fish and plant life. Again, without these essential lower-level species and habitats, the world for the higher-level predator species are turned upside down. There have also been sediment tests that have been taken to understand the devastation of overfishing that overfishing has caused. With overfishing comes ecological dead zones. What is the demand of fish? Fishing has always been an important part of human culture. However, as time has gone on, the ability to catch large quantities of fish has become easier and easier. The types of boats used allow for enormous amounts of fish, crabs, lobster, etc. to be pulled from the ocean. According to Overfishing.com, we have enough fishing boats for 3 planets. Seeing as our oceans are in serious threat of depletion of a variety of fish species, it seems the industry has become too greedy. The demand for fish cannot possibly be higher than the number of fish in the sea. The fishing industry has grown to staggering heights and is now out of balance with both the need for fish and the population of fish in general. The demand that chain restaurants like Red Lobster and Long John Silver's puts on fishermen to constantly supply them with the best and freshest seafood in order to maintain their profits. It is not something that these chains could easily give up. The public may need to reconsider how often they really need an oversized seafood dinner in order to balance the ocean's ecosystem. Overfishing is clearly not the only issue of our seas. Pollution, climate change, oil spills, and acidification all play their own part in the destruction of species and habitats. However, all of these things have led to the endangerment of species. There are nearly 620 species on the Red List Endangered Species list. Are there alternative types of fishing? It's obvious that fishermen are unable to regulate what exactly enters their nets. However, what they are seen doing is tossing the extras or waste back overboard. What they don't realize what they're doing is tossing away an array of precious species that could easily lead to more generations. This issue is also a huge part of the endangered species. The use of nets with the turtle excluder devices, or TEDs, has been a successful attempt at saving endangered sea turtle species and the shrimp farms and salmon and oyster farms, but there is so much more that could be considered when deciding how much to take from the sea. We can't Another possible solution that has been explored is catch sharing. Catch sharing was where you put a limit on the number of fish the boat is allowed to catch. This would mean they would be each entitled to a percentage of the profits made. Workers would also be granted a fishing zone within a specific ocean area. It's obvious that not all fishing boats are equipped with these types of devices, and the issue of forcing the fishing boats to conform to these solutions would be a trying one. However, the impact that it would have on the environment, species, and catches in general would be huge.
My opponents just talked about how TEDs can be used by fishermen so that certain species of turtles won't get caught in their fisher nets. The thing is, TEDs cost quite a lot of money that fishermen don't have. 30% of fishermen have lower income than the average male worker. They need this money to help feed their families and help keep their jobs, because 3 billion people depend on fish as an important source of protein. My opponent also talked about how we have enough fishing boats for 3 planets, but we only have 1. The thing is, 7 billion people live on just this one planet, and they demand a lot of fish. There is also a way of overfishing that can be used. It is called bioeconomic overfishing. What this does is the fishermen fish so fast that they have so much fish that they become less profitable and fishermen fish less, which actually gives time.
Josh Race, you have a call on 101.
Which actually gives time for the fish to populate once again. That way, fishermen have more fish to fish, so that 3 billion people will have their protein.
The opposing team went into depth about the importance of income to fishermen and their families. As our group said, there are enough fishing boats for 3 plants. Not only are they depleting ocean species, but they are also competing with each other both for jobs and for money. The average amount of money made on one of these boats is $19,000. The average income for the people of the United States of America is $46,326. It's considerably less. They are also covered the issue of protein, because only 16% of the world actually use fish as a major source of protein. Protein can be obtained from a variety of other sources, such as beef, cattle, pigs, etc., with domesticated farm animals. Not all the fish that is used, or that is caught on the boat, is actually used. Most of it is just thrown back overboard because it's too small, so they can't use it, whether it's dead or alive. They just chuck it right back over the boat. There you go.
Our opponents over here said first topic was damage to the environment and its inhabitants. They said that all species get affected. Well, not all they get affected. Some fishermen just go after a certain kind of fish. Next they said bans in place that stop fishing killing. It has lots of demands, and the industry has grown, but rather the demand of it has stopped. They also said alternatives to fishing. They said there are so many ways to stop overfishing. This consists of course, using the Ted nets to stop it, which although my lovely companion over here said that they cost way too much and fishermen need way more money for the boats rather than to buy these Teds to stop it.
Okay, as our group stated before, the industry has become far too greedy. If they were to take a step back and end their aggressive fishing, both the profit of the fish would increase and the depletion of the fish would increase as well. So this is a key point that Nick made earlier. Also, according to the other group, if 16% of protein comes from fish in general, it's obvious that the amount of fishing being done is far greater than what the fish caught is supplying. So, also, the TEDs seem to be a fairly big thing. So, as far as that goes, the fishermen, if they were to invest in new equipment, why would they not purchase equipment that would be environmentally sound?
In closing, in my defense to industrial overfishing, I believe it's good to have overfishing because it gives fishermen a job. It also is a good source of income for the fishermen and their families, so they won't struggle to have to make ends meet. Fish is high in protein, and with 2/3 of the world living off fish, overfishing is key to have protein for food. If we stop overfishing, so many people's lives will be in jeopardy, both financially and health-wise. So, say yes to overfishing and let the industrial industry continue.
Regulated overfishing has hit extremes, and it is up to us to put our foot down and make the points that fishing in its current state has become absurd. It comes down to supply and demand, and therefore, it's up to us as consumers to let the suppliers of marine products know what we want, how much we want, and how much we care about the process of getting what we want. So, the choice is yours. Are we just going to leave the... Are we just going to continue damaging our environment? Letting fishermen throw our fish overboard? Or are we...
Sure.
Shut up!
Down here whenever you're ready.
God!
We have to talk before you leave the building. Thanks.
Are we going to switch over to alternative types of fishing, where we don't waste what we have left or restore the natural abundance and variety of spectacular marine life that existed before our greedy, wasteful habits threatened to obliterate it forever?